Hi, welcome to episode 109 of Algebra in Words, the video series for YouTube. What we're going to discuss in this episode are the exponent rules, and there's 5 of those. If you want to follow along with the written form of those rules, you can follow along with the first 4 in my book, Algebra in Words, starting on page 40. And for rational exponents, you can follow along starting on page 58 in Algebra in Words 2. What we're going to do in this short video is just give an overview of the 5 different rules for exponents. And so anyway, there's multiplication, also known as the product rule. There's division, also known as the quotient rule. There's powers of powers. Sometimes you see them as exponents of exponents. There are negative exponents, and there are rational exponents. So again, in this video, I'm only going to give a brief overview of these, but then in each subsequent video, I'm going to focus on each principle in a video for itself. So anyway, let's look at the multiplication rule for variables, or it could even be of constants. And what is the multiplication rule for exponents? Well, the multiplication rule for exponents means that if you have a base that is the same as another base that's being multiplied, so I call it a common base, and they're both raised to an exponent, then the rule is you add the exponents. So if we did, notice that the base x is common here, so that means that we can add the exponents because these two bases are factors that are being multiplied together. Long story short, when you add 6 plus 3, you get 9. So in summary, x to the 6th times x cubed. When you add the 6 plus 3, you get x to the 9th. That's the product rule for exponents. The next one is division of exponents, also known as the quotient rule for exponents. And I have an example here, such as x to the 8th over x to the 5th. And the rule for dividing exponents of a common base is you take the top exponent and subtract the bottom exponent from the top. So, long story short, 8 minus 5 is 3, and we write x to the power of 3, or you could say x cubed. Next would be powers of powers. And I have an example here where we have x squared, in parentheses, raised to the 4th power. The rule for powers of powers is you multiply the exponents. So 2 times 4 is 8, and the answer to this problem is x to the 8th. The next one is negative exponents. And if you notice here, I have a problem that's x raised to the negative 7th power. And here's what you need to know for negative exponents. Usually, when we report an answer, we try to report it without negative exponents, and usually throughout a problem, we try to get rid of negative exponents and make them positive wherever we can. So the rule for that is you keep the base and the exponent the same, but you move them to the opposite part of the fraction as they started in, and then change the sign. So if I come over here, think of this as being over 1, but you don't write over 1, but you could think of it as that. So remember, the rule is keep the base and the exponent the same, but change the sign of the exponent. So that would make it from negative to now positive. That's now going to go on the bottom of the fraction. We put 1 on top. So x to the negative 7th converted to a positive exponent would be 1 over x to the 7th. And finally, there's what's known as rational exponents. Okay, if you break that down, what does that mean? Well, rational or ratio means that in the exponent, it's a ratio, or better known as a fraction. All right, and what does that mean? Well, rather than solving this, what we're going to do is basically just convert it. And what you need to know is that the numerator of a rational exponent represents the power of the base, and the denominator represents the root. So if we were to convert this from rational exponent into radical form, it would become the cube root of x to the power of 1. Normally we don't write the power of 1, so I'll erase it. But that's how to convert rational exponents. Now, the multiplication or the product rule, division, the quotient rule, powers of powers, and negative exponents, I'm going to cover them under the episode of 109. But for rational exponents, where you use that more for later, more advanced topics, I'm going to dedicate a later individual video just for that. So that pretty much concludes this video. This was just an overview of the 5 types. Thanks for watching, and if you found this video helpful, please subscribe to the channel, please share with your friends, please feel free to leave any comments, and check out other content on Facebook and Instagram. In the next video, we'll be taking a more specific look at multiplication of common bases, also known as the product rule.